Hey, hey, hey! Here we are, episode 7 of Rupaul's Drag Race, season 10! So, we're back into the workroom after the girls have come back in from the elimination. We get drama straight away. Eureka and Vixen going at it again. I think Eureka is trying to be kind and trying to help guide Vixen a little more into a kinder, more friendly way of behaving. And of course, Vixen is like this, not listening at all. She has no intention of changing how she behaves in the slightest. We then hear from Monique that she feels like she's really struggling because of money, which we've all been there. We all know what that's like. As drag queens, it costs a lot of money and it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of skills actually to be able to do all of these different things. Unless you're somebody who gets their makeup and their costumes and everything else done for them. I totally empathise with what Monique is saying. However, this is what this competition is and you knew that before you got here. Next day in the workroom, we're back in and the first challenge is the library is open! You know what? Nobody is bad at this. Absolutely nobody is terrible, which is unusual. In this challenge, there's usually at least 1 or 2 people whose reads just don't land because they don't really like each other that much. And I think that's the key to reading, is that you have to have a really good relationship with somebody before you can really get into it with them. Because otherwise it has the potential to just come across as aggressive and vindictive. Eureka is the winner. Woo! And you can see not everybody is happy about that. I think because actually everybody was good at it. The main challenge, we have arrived. It is Snatch Game this week. Woo! Everybody's favourite part of Drag Race, Snatch Game. So we go through and we're finding out who everybody is going to be. Monique decides that she's going to be Maxine Waters. Now, it's clear from her conversation that she doesn't really know that much about Maxine Waters. And to me, that is a massive red flag. So although Rupaul and Bianca Del Rio, thank you for coming back, Bianca, we love you. Even though they encourage her to go in that direction, I still would have gone, who is the better character for me to portray? Because it doesn't matter that much that people don't know who this person is, as long as it's a strong character and you're able to push that through, it'll be okay. Cameron Michaels decides to be China, the wrestler, which is, for Cameron and his body type, a perfect idea. Miss Cracker decides to be Dorothy Parker. Now, I didn't know who Dorothy Parker is. Hand up, I apologise. I've gone and had a look. She writes kind of poetry and then she has these one-liners where she just kind of puts people down without putting them down. It's a very gentle type of humour. It's not Bianca Del Rio. It's not that in your face. It's a much more subtle humour, which, as Rupaul is saying to her, is much more difficult because you have to really think about it. We get to Asia and she decides she's going to be Beyonce. We know this isn't going to work. We've seen it twice before. This is the 3rd time that we're going to see this and it never works. Monet exchanges Maya Angelou and you can see right from the word go, she has the voice, she has a very clear concept for what the outfit's going to be. And we know that Monet is good at comedy, we know that. Aquaria, and she decides that she's going to be Melania Trump. Again, we have the politics here. We've got Maxine Waters, we've got Melania Trump, we've got Rupaul coming into the workroom and saying that the education department is making deep cuts. But we are committed to learning and teaching the children to read! And I love it. I love that this is now a platform for talking about political problems. Now, this could go one of 2 ways for Aquaria because we know that she's maybe not that great at speaking. Then we get to Vixen. She decides that she's going to be Blue Ivy, which of course is Beyonce's daughter. We don't know who this is. We don't know who Blue Ivy is. There is opportunity then for creating this character. Then we have an iconic character from Eureka O'Hara. She's Honey Boo Boo, who is a very cute, lovable character, but it's also hilarious because of her cultural upbringing. We'll put it that way. Eureka is given the advice not to go with Divine because her performance of it is not clear. So instead, plumps for Honey Boo Boo. And we're into the performances. We're joined by Audra McDonald, who is literally one of my favourite people, and then some other woman. I don't know who she is. It's really kind of hit or miss in here as to people's performances. Monique's Maxine Waters, the costume is brilliant. She looks really, really good as Maxine Waters. The makeup really gives the same sort of facial shape. The problem is she doesn't know who Maxine Waters actually is. She doesn't know where she works. She doesn't know any of her idiosyncrasies. There's none of the characterizations that are needed to really push Maxine Waters out there. And so it's just a bit empty. Then we have Cameron Michaels as China. Now this is a real revelation. Honestly, I'm not expecting much from Cameron at all because she doesn't talk very much. She's been okay at some of the comedy challenges, but not standout amazing. Whereas I think this is quite a well-conceived performance. Like, she has little props, she knows what she's doing, and she has a voice. You know, so there's some light and shade with what she's doing, and some of it is quite funny. Then we get to Miss Cracker, and I'm just a bit disappointed by this. I'm disappointed because it's the way that she's using her head. Because she's delivering everything and then she puts her head down. So what happens with that is you cut your viewer off. So everything gets lost. It becomes internalized rather than being given to the audience. I also think maybe she just didn't get as good an edit as she could have done. Then we're on to Asia as Beyonce, and it's exactly what we expect. It's a train wreck. She doesn't look like Beyonce. Like, she has a Beyonce wig, but her makeup doesn't look like Beyonce, and her performance is so far off the mark as to be ridiculous. She's really aggressive and not in a funny way. It just stops the energy flow and leaves people nowhere to go. She takes them down a cul-de-sac and beats them with a jackhammer. Down onto the bottom row, we have Money Exchange as Maya Angelou, which is genius, absolutely brilliant. A really, really good interpretation of who Maya Angelou is in an irreverent and a comedic way. Aquaria as Melania Trump is a complete shocker. That is a wig snatch moment. We're not expecting this from Aquaria at all. It's really clever what she's done. She has lots of little things like the eye flutter, and then the card at the front calling her Michelle Obama, and then the box that says help me. You know, there's lots of little ideas, and she also has the cute accent, and she's very quick as Melania Trump, feeding in on other people and chipping in and chiming in, which we don't see from her in any other aspect of the season so far. Vixen as Blue Ivy is just a lot of nothing because we don't know who Blue Ivy is, so you have the opportunity to be anything, and she could be a hilarious character. The long and the short of it is Blue Ivy just does not work. The look is great, but the character is terrible. Then right next to her, you have the powerhouse that is Eureka. This Honey Boo Boo character is so brilliantly conceived. And it's like Honey Boo Boo's here, and so what Eureka does is she goes, okay, so what if this is Honey Boo Boo? Some of the other girls afterwards are complaining that she takes up a lot of the space. Well, of course she does. That's the job. Now we're into Elimination Day, and straight in, Vixen starts on Eureka. I think you took other people's moments. Well, as Aquaria says to Monique, it's not my job to make your snatch game good. That's the thing. This is a competition, and if there is an opening and a chance for you to shine, you need to take it. And that's what Eureka did. It just feels like Vixen did a bad job and is projecting that onto Eureka. Then we start to talk about politics again. Does anybody do politics in their drag? Monique, who chose Maxine Waters, said no. So why did you pick such a prominent political figure? If that's not what you do, don't do it. Monet says she does it. Other girls say that they do. Eureka agrees that it's important to have politics in your drag. I agree. I generally put something in that is a bit political. I try and make it funny because life is far too serious to be taken seriously. Vixen says that that's not what she does. Like, her political stuff, and she does a lot of it, isn't generally funny. It's, for her, kind of a stick to beat white people with. Yes, white people are responsible for a lot of shit in the world. Yes, white people are still carrying out a lot of really fucked up shit in the world. But do I feel like I want to go out to a drag show and be made to feel guilty? No, I'm probably not going to part with my money for that. Now we're onto the runway and RuPaul comes out in somebody's destroyed sofa. I have no idea what's going on with her hips. Like, it goes like this and then like that. I think maybe it's the cut of the dress rather than the hip pads, but it's a little bit like weird and slightly lopsided as well. The runway look this week is Mermaid Fantasy in honour of the Divine Miss M. We love you, Bette Midler. We love you. She's not dead yet. I'm not praying to her or anything like that. My favourites on the runway this week were Miss Cracker. It's kind of like a mix between She-Ra and a mermaid. I am so here for that. I absolutely loved Aquaria's oil slick. Again, political without being like aggressively political. You have to think about it before you realise, oh wait a minute, this is actually about the damage that we're doing to the planet. And I really liked Eureka's as well. While I think the blood was a little bit much, I enjoyed the concept and the outfit as a whole. A quick shout out to Asia because I thought that was genius. Taking what is conventionally thought of as being a beautiful thing and flipping it on its head and turning it into something that's ugly, I think is really brave and really clever. And actually really drag. The outfits I wasn't that keen on were Monique's. I didn't mind the top and the skirt together. It was just that the bottom of it was just a bit kind of higgledy-piggledy. I didn't really like Monet's that much. I liked the outfit, but the wig just looked like I've spent 30 minutes on this rather than the 2 hours that it needed. Lastly, the Vixens. The body didn't look right. The tail wasn't nice, the tits looked horrendous, her face was beautiful and her wig were really nice. But everything underneath, just arts and craftsy, and not in a good way. It wasn't like, ooh, look at this skill. It was, I've got some sellotape, I've got some shiny paper, let's make an outfit. After we've had all the judges' comments, RuPaul then asks the girls who are left on stage who they think should be leaving the competition this week. Nearly everybody says the Vixen. The only person who doesn't, interestingly, is the Vixen and Eureka, who calls on Asia because she thinks that she's her biggest competition. Yeah, okay. But then when it gets to the Vixen, she is aggressive, unprofessional, questions the judges' ability to judge. It's just a mess. And Eureka fires back and tries to quantify, well, yes, like I am a big personality, but I always apologise for it. And then Vixen says, but you don't do anything about it. This is somebody who has been aggressive and mean and shady and makes no apology for it and just says, this is me, this is who I am, accept it. And then she's saying it's ridiculous that you're saying this is me and you just have to accept it. You're a hypocrite, girl. That's long and short, you are a hypocrite. If you think that somebody else should change their personality but you don't think you have any room to grow, you're the problem. So this week, Aquaria wins, and I think actually a really deserved win. She was great in the Snatch game and she looked great on the runway. In the bottom this week are Asia, Monique and the Vixen. I think what saves Asia is that she took the idea of a mermaid and flipped it on its head, and she took a massive risk with it. I think that's the only thing that saved her because her Snatch game was a mess. The lip sync, if ever there were a double elimination, this should have been it. The whole thing was a mess. Monique didn't know her words, her wig fell off. Like, I have no words for just how bad it was. But if you really look at what Vixen's doing, it's just a bit of a mess. But I'm not the head judge, and this week Vixen is safe. Vixen, however, doesn't leave without throwing a shady comment at everybody else. So we wave goodbye to Monique. But now she's got the opportunity and the platform to go on and earn some money to buy her those costumes. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for episode 8 of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 10. Good night!